Hi, welcome once again to M5's English language learning program, Let's Speak English. I'm Gav Duncan and I'm here on your TV screen to help you learn English. Now, are you sitting comfortably? Yes? Good. And are you ready for today's lesson? Yes? Good. Okay, well let's learn English together. And welcome once again, people, to the start of another week. And yes, it's going to be a good week. I can smell it. So, let me just satisfy protocol and ask the question that we have to ask. Did you have a good weekend? Did you have fun? Did you enjoy yourselves? Did you do nice things? Did you go to nice places? Well, let's hope so. And yes, I too had a nice weekend. Thanks for asking. All right, now, last week was a bit heavy, wasn't it? Yes, it was full of grammar. I know that, and well, I'm sure that you all noticed it too. And it was my plan to continue with some more grammar, but then I thought that perhaps it was time for us to have a little bit less grammar and a bit more practice. What do you say? Would that be a better idea? Yes? Well, okay. If you all agree, all right, but you do know that we just can't forget about the grammar rules of the English language, don't you? Yes, I just want to make that clear, that while we're practicing, we're also going to be checking what we know about grammar. It's just that this week, we're going to do it in a different way, with more questions. So, are you all ready to get started? Okay then, let the exercises begin! No, that's all wrong. We're not talking about physical exercises, we're talking about English exercises. The sort of exercises that we do to practice our English. You know, when we answer questions and things like that. Those sort of exercises. So, anyway, back to what I was saying. Yes, exercises, but not physical. We don't, Olivia Newton-John, want to get physical. This is a different type of show. This isn't the sort of show where people take their clothes off and then cover themselves in oil. No. What a bizarre idea. No. We're not having any of that. This is an intellectual show. And the exercises I'm talking about are the things we do to practice or test our skill. Think about when you learn something new. You learn something, and then there are some exercises for you to practice what you just learned. These exercises help cement that brand new information into your brain. And now, we're going to do the same sort of thing. We're going to have a bit of practice. So, tell me truthfully, are you ready? Yes, good. But while you're ready, I'm only almost ready. I'm almost all ready, but there are a couple of things that we need to look at quickly. Those two things are connected to what we're going to do. We're going to practice our English knowledge with two main types of exercise, two sorts of exercise. Multiple choice questions and gap fill exercises. Okay, so let's quickly check those words. Okay, well, for a start, there's the word choice. And what sort of word is it? No, I don't mean is it nice or not. I'm not asking what its personality is. I'd like to know what part of speech it is. What sort of word it is from a grammar viewpoint. Is it a verb or a noun or an adjective or a preposition or an adverb? Yes, that's right. It's a noun, isn't it? Yes, but there is a verb connected to it. Does anyone know the verb? Yes, the verb to choose. That's where we get the noun choice from. And what does the verb to choose mean? Well, to choose is to pick, to select, to decide on something. When you go to dinner, the waiter brings you a menu, you look at the different items on the menu, and you choose what you'd like to eat. Then you pick what you'd like to drink. If, for example, you choose pizza, you then decide which pizza from the many different pizzas you'd like. You might pick a margherita pizza. You might pick a pizza with meat. Perhaps you'll decide to have a pizza with salami or with Italian sausage. All of these decisions, what to eat, which pizza to eat, and also what to drink, all of these decisions where we're making a choice, these are choices. And there's more than one choice, isn't there? Yes, this is a restaurant with a menu which is, I don't know, 5 pages long. There isn't just one thing on the menu, there are many, many things on the menu, and that means there are multiple choices. Okay, so what's multiple when it's not dancing about on a menu? Well, the adjective multiple means that something has got lots of parts. So, there are multiple types of food that you can ask for in the restaurant. This isn't a restaurant in North Korea. No, this is a restaurant where there is more than one thing on the menu. This restaurant has many, many things that you can eat. There are multiple choices that you can make. And now, think about that same idea in an English exercise. Yes, this isn't a question with a single answer. No. Multiple choice questions are questions with more than one possible answer. A standard multiple choice question offers you 4 choices: A, B, C, and D. And then you have to pick, choose, select, or decide on which answer you think is correct. You've seen this type of question before, I'm sure. All right. So now we're all clear on what a multiple choice question is. It's a question with more than one possible answer, and you have to decide on which answer is correct. So it makes it harder for you. You have to look at the 4 choices and decide which answer is best. All right. And what about the other thing I was talking about? What about this gap fill thing? Well, for one thing, what's a gap? A gap is another word for a hole. Think about Madonna's teeth. She's got a gap between her 2 front teeth. Yes, she's got a space, a hole between her 2 front teeth. Like this woman, whoever she is. So, as you can see in that photo, that woman has got a gap between her 2 front teeth. Okay, but we can have gaps in other places too. If you go to a concert and there's lots of people standing in front of you and these people are much taller than you, then you're not going to see a lot of the concert, are you? No, but there might be a gap between 2 people and you can look through that gap and see the concert that way. Also, think about your car. Think about the driver's seat and what's next to the driver's seat, between the driver's seat and the front passenger seat. Yes, that bit where you can find the gear stick and the handbrake and that bit for storing drinks or coins or things like that. That's the central console. And it's not attached to your car seat, is it? No, it's not part of the car seats. There's a gap, a small hole between the seat and the central console. A small gap where your mobile phone can fall and get stuck. All right, so that's a gap. It's another word for a hole. Okay, and what about the verb to fill? What does that mean? Well, if you fill something, you do something to make it not empty but full. If I take an empty bottle and fill it with water, that means that I put water into the bottle until the bottle is full or almost full of water. When you're driving your car, you have to keep an eye on the petrol gauge, don't you? The petrol gauge is the little gauge which tells you how much petrol or fuel there is in your petrol tank. This thing. So, that's the petrol or fuel gauge, and it tells you how much petrol or diesel there is in your car tank. And we all know why we have to keep an eye on that gauge, don't we? Yes. The last thing we want to run out of is petrol. If we run out of petrol, if we use all of the petrol in the tank, then the car won't move. The engine needs fuel. The engine needs petrol to create the ignition, the spark, the explosion, which moves the pistons, which powers the wheels and makes the car move. If we run out of petrol, if we use all the petrol in the tank, then the car stops and people get angry, like this bloke.
What kind of person steals a car and doesn't check the gas first?
The kind of person who didn't have time to pick or choose.
All right, so we all know that we have to make sure that we don't use all the petrol in the tank. Okay, but what do we do when we notice that the tank is almost empty? Yes, that's right. We go to a petrol station and fill the petrol tank up with petrol. Yes, we fill the tank. We put petrol into the tank until there's no more room in it. We fill the tank. We replace the air inside the tank with petrol. We fill it up. We put petrol into it until it's full or almost full of petrol. And that brings us back to the idea of our gap fill exercise. In this exercise, we've taken a piece of text and we've removed some of the words. So that means that there are now gaps in the text. And guess what you have to do? Yes, you have to put a word into a space in the text. You have to fill the gaps in the text. You have to decide or choose which word is the correct word for which gap. You have to look at the sentence and work out, figure out, suss out which word should go into which gap. That's a gap fill exercise. Okay, so are you all ready? Yes? Good. In that case, let's get cracking. All right, okie dokie, and here we go. So, let's delve into the world of that which we know. Let's have a look at the first question together, just to make sure that we're all on the same page, okay? Number 1, the time between 12 o'clock midnight and 12 o'clock noon is A, PM, B, early, C, AM, D, potato. Okay, so what do you all say? Which one is the correct answer? Yes, that's right. The correct answer is C. When we're talking about time in the morning, we refer to it as AM. So from when the morning starts at midnight to when the morning finishes at noon, that's AM. Okay. And what about the other answers? What's wrong with them? Well, let's have a look at them and see why they're wrong. Let's see why A, B, and D aren't correct. Okay, let's start with A. What's wrong with A? Well, that's an easy one, isn't it? Yes, we all know that in English, if we're using the 12-hour clock, we split the day into 2 halves. And as we saw in the correct answer, AM is the period from midnight until noon. Okay, that's AM. And the period from noon until midnight? What do we call that? Yes, that's right, sports fans. From midnight until noon is AM, and from noon until midnight is PM. Yes, so that's the problem. PM is connected to telling the time, true, but it's the wrong half of the day. AM is from midnight to noon, PM is from noon to midnight. A is a good example of what we call a red herring. A red herring is something which is put in front of us to confuse us, to make us go in the wrong direction. So, in this set of possible answers, I deliberately put a red herring as answer A. I thought that some of you might remember seeing the letters PM connected to telling the time, and so you'd jump at that answer, thinking that it must be the correct answer. But no, as we can see, it wasn't the correct answer, was it? It was a red herring. An answer which was designed to confuse you, to lead you in the wrong direction. All right, then what about B? What's the problem there? Well, early is an adjective, isn't it? And the answer to the question isn't an adjective. We're not asking what something's like. We're asking what the name of something is. We're looking for a noun, not an adjective. Some people might argue that the morning is early, but that's a subjective opinion, not the correct noun. Okay. And what about the last answer? Why is that not correct? Well, look at it. It's a silly answer, isn't it? I mean, yes, it's a noun, but it's not the right noun, is it? Potato? It's got nothing to do with time or telling the time. That answer is just a silly answer that I put there for a laugh. All right, so we've had a look at that one question and oh, blimey, we're out of time. Well, cricket bats, pads, wickets and bails. Oh well, never mind. We're off to a flying start, and now we all know what we can expect in the next few days. Okay, people, I'm off now to leave you to do whatever you have to do. And just remember this might be a good time to have a look at the vocab we've got up on the website. It might make things easy for you, if you know what I mean. All right, have a great afternoon and a wonderful evening, and I'll see you all tomorrow when we'll continue our exercises together. See you all tomorrow. See you later. Bye.